Rain was coming down hard that morning, sheets of it sliding across the windows of a corner cafe on the rougher side of Chicago. Inside, a young mother named Rachel Carter fumbled with her bag, her coat, her umbrella, her nerves. And in that chaos, something slipped from her wrist. A flimsy hospital bracelet clattered onto the wooden floor. She didn't notice she was already rushing for the bus, already late for her shift at the diner, already worn out from a night in the emergency room with her 5-year-old son, Ethan, who'd struggled to breathe until dawn. The bracelet lay there small and ordinary, with its black letters reading, Carter Ethan, J. Admitted 4:12 a.m. To Rachel, it was just another bill waiting to crush her, another reminder of how close she'd come to losing her boy. To anyone else, it was nothing. But fate has a way of making the smallest objects detonate like bombs. That afternoon, a man stepped into the same cafe. His name was Daniel Whitmore, 42 years old, CEO of one of the largest hospital networks in the Midwest. He wore the kind of suit that screamed money, but his shoulders slumped under a different kind of weight, the kind that comes from board meetings where human lives are reduced to numbers. He ordered his usual black coffee, loosened his tie, and tried to disappear into the corner booth he always claimed on rainy days. The manager, who liked to chat, placed the cup in front of him and said, "Funny thing, Mr. Whitmore, we found a hospital bracelet here this morning. Since you run the place, maybe you can get it back to the right department." She handed him the small white band. Daniel took it with no thought, until his eyes landed on the name. Ethan J. Carter. His coffee froze halfway to his lips. The color drained from his face. His hands trembled because Carter wasn't just any name, it was her name. 15 years earlier, there'd been a girl. Rachel. He'd loved her back when he was still a medical resident, still dreaming of being a surgeon before his father's sudden heart attack dragged him into the family empire. She had left him with nothing more than a note, one that claimed she needed her own path. But seeing that name now bold and black on hospital plastic, Daniel felt as if a ghost had walked into the cafe. He called his assistant immediately. "Find me everything on a patient, Ethan Carter. This morning, age 5. I need it now." Minutes later, standing outside in the rain, he read the reply. Severe asthma attack. Minimal insurance. Home address, a subsidized apartment complex on the west side. Guardian Rachel Carter, single mother, 2 jobs. Daniel leaned against the brick wall, water running down his face. Could it be? Could the woman he'd lost, the woman who vanished without explanation, have been raising his child all this time? He didn't wait to wonder. By that evening, he was at the diner where Rachel worked, watching her wipe down tables with the same determined grace he remembered. Her hair was darker now, her eyes more tired, but it was her. She looked up, saw him, and froze. The rag slipped from her fingers. "Daniel," she whispered. He held up the bracelet. "We need to talk." The owner of the diner, sensing the charge in the air, told her to take her break. Hell, take the rest of the shift. And there, under the buzzing lights of a greasy spoon, the truth ripped open. "Is he mine?" Daniel asked. His voice shook, but his gaze never wavered. Rachel crossed her arms as if to shield herself. 15 years of silence boiled down to one question. Finally, she nodded. "Yes, Ethan is your son. But before you say a word, you need to know why I left. It wasn't because of you. It was because of your father." Daniel stiffened. She explained how his father had confronted her when she got pregnant, called her unworthy of the Whitmore name, threatened to destroy her career, and warned he'd make sure Daniel never practiced medicine again if she didn't disappear. "I wrote you a letter," she said, tears in her eyes. "Told you everything, where I was going, asked you to come find me, but you never came." Daniel's chest burned. "The only letter I ever got was one line about you needing your own path. That's all." Her lips parted in shock. Then he intercepted it. "He wanted you to think I walked away." For a long moment, all Daniel could hear was the pounding of rain outside and the pounding of blood in his ears. A child. His child. He'd lost 5 years he could never get back. That night, against her instincts, but guided by something deeper, Rachel let him drive her home. She brought Ethan out a boy with dark curls and piercing blue eyes that mirrored Daniel's own. The kid clutched an inhaler in one hand and a dinosaur backpack in the other. "Hello, sir," he said politely, shaking Daniel's hand like a miniature gentleman. Daniel almost broke. Dinner that night was dinosaur nuggets and frozen peas. Ethan chattered about fossils and school and rocks, his world small but vivid. And Daniel, who had spent decades in boardrooms, suddenly realized he was starving for this exact chaos, this exact love. But reality hit quick. The hospital called. Ethan's blood work showed abnormalities. They needed to run more tests. Rachel paled, fear written across her face. Daniel scooped up his son, and said, "We're going now." At the hospital, his presence changed everything. No waiting. No endless forms. The top pediatric specialist appeared within minutes. But when the doctor mentioned the possibility of leukemia, the word shattered both parents. Rachel's nails dug into Daniel's hand. Ethan, braver than his years, endured needles and scans with the quiet grit only children possess. Later that night, as Ethan slept, Daniel whispered to Rachel, "I'm not leaving again. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." She wanted to believe him. The next day, Daniel did something unthinkable. He brought them both to see his father, now dying in hospice. Rachel wanted to refuse, but Daniel insisted. "This isn't about revenge. It's about truth. He stole years from us. He deserves to see what he tried to destroy." In that sterile room, the confrontation was electric. The old man tried to bark commands, but Daniel cut him off. "You had no right. No right to tear her away. No right to rob me of my son." He placed a protective hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Meet your grandson, the boy you tried to erase." For the first time in his life, Daniel saw fear in his father's eyes. Ethan, with innocent kindness, said softly, "I hope you feel better, sir. I was in the hospital too, but I got ice cream after." And then he glanced up at Daniel and added shyly, "My dad promised me more." That word, "dad," hung in the room like a blessing and a curse. The old man broke, confessing he thought he was protecting the family legacy. Daniel spat back, "The legacy isn't money, it's people. And I won't let you poison it anymore." By the end of the week, the old man was gone. And with him went the grip of a dynasty built on control. He left behind papers that stunned everyone, a trust for Ethan control of the company in Daniel's hands, and instructions that the charitable programs must be preserved. Even on his deathbed, perhaps guilt finally cracked the armor. But none of that mattered as much as the call they got that same night. The results were back. Ethan didn't have leukemia. It was a rare inflammatory condition, serious, yes, but treatable. Rachel collapsed into Daniel's arms, sobbing with relief. Daniel whispered. He's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Weeks later, back in the same cafe where it all began, Ethan burst through the doors with his backpack bouncing. Dad, Mom, my science poster won first place. He launched into a speech about dinosaurs and immune cells, grinning ear to ear. Rachel laughed. Daniel beamed, and for the first time in years, they felt like a family. Over hot chocolate and laughter, Daniel reached across the table, took Rachel's hand, and said quietly, "Move in with me, not for convenience, not because of money. Move in because I love you, because 15 years was too long and I don't want to waste another day." Rachel's eyes filled. Ethan chimed in, "Please say yes, Mom. Dad's house has a pool." She laughed through tears. "Well, with an argument like that." And she whispered, "Yes, but only if we make it our house. No ghosts, no past, just us." Outside, the rain started again, tapping against the windows. Only this time, it didn't feel like a storm, it felt like cleansing. A second chance. So let me ask you, was Rachel right to leave all those years ago to protect Daniel? Or was it wrong to keep his son from him? And what about the father who thought he was saving the family name by tearing it apart? Do you see him as a villain or a broken man shaped by his time? Drop your thoughts below. Because stories like this aren't just fiction. They're reflections of choices we all face about love, power, and the families we build or lose.